John Kinn. I've been following Scientology for a couple of dozen years now, ever since I read and enjoyed LRH's book, Battlefield Earth, in the mid 80s. I've read many articles over the years about how Scientology is imploding and shrinking. For the last few years now, though, the stories about Scientologists blowing and the numbers going down seem to have dried up. It seems like they have maintained their numbers at between 20 to 25,000 worldwide for years. My question is, do you think it's possible for Scientology to maintain its ideal orgs and other real estate holdings indefinitely with these small numbers of devotees to sell? Do you think it will take another major event like Debbie Cook's email or the anonymous protests to cause another sizable exodus? Thanks for the question, John. And to be brief in answering this, yes, I do think it's possible that the existing base of Scientologists can keep the existing Scientology orgs and network going the way that they are. I think it's pretty top heavy in terms of income class, that, the heavy big donors that are giving to the IAS and giving to the services at the Flag Land Base or on the free winds, where the big pricey services are going to keep going. They don't seem to be letting up. And there's also, of course, major celebrity figures, not just Hollywood celebrity figures, but artists and other people who are part of Scientology and throw their money at it. So, and you've got remember, you've got dynasties, you got legacy, right? You got families who, have second, third, even fourth gen membership now. And that kind of thing just sort of keeps going because it's just the tradition to keep it going. And Scientology, remember, also in my other answers where I've discussed this, it's it's me wondering about it. It's not necessarily like this is factually how it is, but I believe that I believe very strongly that Scientology's really been reduced down to its most core extremist members and those people who surround those extremists, family, friends, business relationships, who can't let go of them or don't want to for some reason and don't want and feel like, well, I know, they're in this group and they're not particularly keen on Scientology, but they don't ever let that be known at all to their Scientologist friend or family member. And because they know that, where their head's at, that if they do, then it's going to be disconnection time. And it's not really so dissimilar to the many times I've described the relationship between my mom and me when I was a Sea Org member and she had already kind of left. I don't think it's even that open. I mean, my mom was pretty open with me that she really wasn't interested in doing Scientology anymore. I think these folks don't even get to say that much. They have to kind of pretend or, take a phone call every now and again or show up at the church every now and again to prove their loyalty. But the extreme guys are still very, very hardcore. They've doubled, tripled, quadrupled down. They've been attacked. They've been argued with. They've been told. They've been shown. And they're just not interested. They just don't care. And that's, I think, what makes up the bulk of what's left of Scientology. So, between the exposing that ex-members have done over the decades, the anonymous movement, the documentaries, the TV shows, and the continued exposure that, that we continue to put out there, we've gotten rid of, all the, not just the cream, but, some of the rest of it too. And you're really left with this hardcore base. That's kind of how I see it. So what will it take to, hit that even harder? I think these sort of things come in waves. So yeah, another Debbie Cook email might be fascinating if it were to come from a major figure within the community, the Scientology community, a celebrity, let's say, or something. I mean, it would be quite something if, somebody like Elizabeth Moss were to, hit the eject button. Or, I don't know that Michael Pena as a celebrity has a ton of followers and status within the Scientology world. I think he'd be written off pretty quickly. Somebody like Elizabeth Moss would be harder to write off because she's so prominent. She's actually a rising star. And of course, if Tom Cruise were to, say, "Oh my God, I was in a cult," well, that would implode. That would be a really, really big deal in Scientology. But it still wouldn't actually get rid of it. It'd still be around. So, so there isn't any kind of one and done with this stuff for sure. And so we just have to kind of keep, plugging away, exposing the abuses, letting people know that, these folks don't have your best interests at heart. And that's kind of how these things go. But yeah, I think they do have the resources within their own community right now. And the investments, let's not forget that it's not just Scientology parishioners feeding cash into the system that keeps it going. It is also, there are massive amounts of investments and things like that Scientology, that Miscavige is putting his money into, which also creates a whole lot of return all by itself. Remember, this is not so dissimilar to how the last year's, um, or was it this year? Anyway, that flap that came out of the Mormon Church, where they had, property holdings or money in the bank to such a huge amount that they were just living. They were making millions and millions off of just the interest from it. So don't forget about that as well. And there you go.